Hey, welcome back! Today we're looking at Dreamland episode 4 of season 6. Premiering November 29th, 1998, Dreamland has Mulder switching bodies with a man in black after an experimental aircraft causes a little disturbance with some sciencey stuff, I don't know. Anyways, Mulder and Scully are driving out to a top secret meeting with some top secret contact who might have top secret information about top secret alien spacecraft or something. These two are no longer on the X-Files, yet Mulder still manages to drag Scully out into the middle of nowhere to chase UFOs. I'd love to know what kind of hold this man has on her.
Mulder?
The agents are quickly pulled over, but what's with these sketchy shadow government guys and their smoking? The mystery man asks the agents what they're doing out here in the middle of the night, and Mulder throws it right back at him. The interesting part is Scully starts talking about UFOs and top secret test flights, but I don't know if she's being serious or if she's just mocking both of them. Just then, a UFO performing a top secret test flight appears, but by the look on this guy's face, I think he was expecting it. He probably does this often to mess with hillbillies that come out looking for UFOs.
Come on, Mulder, let's go.
Scully, that's not Mulder. Alright, so somehow these two swapped bodies. Though I don't know why Lenny seems to just go with it, Mulder seems to be the only one concerned. Mulder now has to pretend that he's this Morris guy, but how would he know what to do in this situation? It kinda reminds me of the episode Lazarus where Scully's ex-boyfriend was being taken over by the man that shot him, and yet somehow he knew how to complete official FBI paperwork. Anyways, Mulder gets grilled by H.P. Lovecraft and Meatloaf because he let Scully and fake Mulder get away without finding out who their informant is. At this point, I don't really think they have an informant. Their last one was X and he died a while ago.
We can't just disappear a couple of FBI agents, Howard.
I told you he was Lovecraft. Would the Air Force really name the base Area 51? Mulder's in a very unique position right now because he could leak so much top secret information. I sure hope he doesn't squander this opportunity. Morris sure seems to have some rather interesting friends. Scully and Mulder pull up to get a little gas, and she can sense there's something off. No time to worry about that, Scully, because you need to pump the gas. Sorry, but you can't always be the passenger princess.
Want to pick me up a pack of Morleys, please?
Since when do you smoke?
What? You're not going to be a Nazi about it, are you?
I wonder if she thinks Mulder still has a little head trauma from his previous boating incident. I mean, he was rambling on about Nazis then too.
No, you were there with the Nazis.
Mulder, will you settle down?
Meatloaf walks in to talk about this leak. I guess someone used their boss's phone or something. It doesn't really matter, but what does matter is Mulder's wife is very angry at him. And if he doesn't get some milk on his way home, God help him. I like how even top secret men in black still have to deal with the simple things in life. Also, this whole setup feels like an excuse for David to flash his wedding band, which he's done a few times since getting married to Téa Leoni. Mulder gets dropped off at home, but I don't see any milk. He does see his loving wife all alone in bed, but without the milk, it's probably best he leaves her alone.
Scully, I love you, and I have for a long time.
Mulder, I love you too.
A few hours later, there's a little incident involving the crash of an experimental aircraft. It couldn't possibly be the one that caused the body swap, could it? Lovecraft is on the scene to explain to the general what's going on, and something rather interesting has happened to the pilots. I would love to see Scully rationalize a man fusing with a rock. Back at the FBI, Scully is awaiting to be chewed out by Kirsch, though Morris is late, like always. You know what, even Kirsch's secretary acts like kind of a bitch. Morris finally shows up, but the meeting goes a little different than expected. Instead of Mulder fighting with his boss like he usually does,
I'm talking to you.
Morris instead tells Kirsch that he's right. They never should have went to this military base and that it will never happen again. I like how both Scully and Kirsch look at him like, what the hell has gone into you?
Mulder, you are acting bizarre.
Jealous?
She should know by now that the real Mulder may have seen her in her birthday suit, but he's never played grab ass before.
I just can't believe. And who is Scully?
Good morning.
You know, I'd like to say Mulder may have ruined this guy's relationship with his family, but I think it was already in the dumps. No wonder he didn't hesitate to leave with Scully. My favorite part is when the wife asks Mulder about their daughter's nose, and he says he thinks she's too young for plastic surgery, when all she really wants is a nose ring. Ah, Mulder, just slowly destroying that father-daughter relationship. Before Mulder leaves for work, I think, Morris's wife Joanne points out that he's still wearing the same suit from yesterday. So unless he wants to look like a slob in front of Meatloaf, he should get changed. Anyways, Joanne breaks up his little dance-off because Meatloaf is on the phone, and it seems like something rather serious has gone down. So remember the soldier in The Rock? Well, another soldier seems to have swapped bodies with an old native woman. Seems like the general picked a bad day to stop huffing glue.
Scully.
Oh, thank goodness, Scully, it's me.
I'm sorry, who is this?
It's me, Mulder.
Mulder calls up Scully and tries to explain to her that he's the real Mulder, but she's not exactly buying it. She even has Morris listen to the call, not realizing that Morris is not Mulder. He's been acting so weird this whole time, but it hasn't dawned on her that maybe this mystery caller is telling the truth, especially when Morris says that he's gonna report this to Kirsch. Since when does Mulder report anything to anyone?
Look, little lady, I think it's time you got your panties on straight. We're federal officers. We go by the book.
If there's one thing Mulder is known for, it's definitely following the rules.
Keep it.
Wow, maybe I'll just close early.
Mulder, I'm not sure you want to get on this man's bad side. You have no idea who that is. There's also a strange reflection of Mulder in the sky as he walks to his car. Oh my god, what if the flat earthers are right and we are living in a dome? Suddenly a massive shockwave comes through, destroying this poor man's business. Meatloaf tells Mulder about the incident, so Mulder drives back. Everyone gives Mulder hell for going back inside since it is leaking gasoline, but unless he does, they're all doomed. The poor attendant got fused into the ground just like the soldier, but unlike his buddies, Mulder actually wants to help.
This man needs a doctor. Not anymore.
You know, I just don't think Mulder's cut out for the Men in Black business. Also, you'd think his buddies would question Morris's sudden moral shift. Anywho, Scully makes her way to Mulder's place and notices Kirsch's secretary leaving with a very satisfied look on her face. Do you think Scully is jealous or just annoyed? She tries talking to Morris about the call she received and the person impersonating Mulder, but Morris really couldn't care any less. I mean, he's getting laid by Kirsch's secretary.
This is an X-File! Your life's work! Your crusade!
As I understand it, we're off the X-Files.
There's no way, no how, that Mulder would ever give up the X-Files. How this doesn't immediately tell Scully that there is something off, and that this person that called her was telling the truth, I have no idea. Aw no, not the Gila monster. Back with Mulder and the Funky Bunch, it turns out the cause of all this came from that experimental aircraft that caused some ripple in space and time. I don't know how that puts a lizard's head in a rock, but sure. Mulder finally gets to flex his spooky muscles a bit, but I think Lovecraft here knows that something isn't quite right with Morris. Scully decides to go for a nice little drive on her own and finds the burnt down gas station, which is still smoldering. Oh, and Mulder's change. She can finally give that back to him. Mulder wakes up to a very angry wife who thinks he finds her disgusting. I actually do kind of feel sorry for this woman. She's obviously in a loveless marriage with a man who would rather mess around with secretaries than figure out how to get back to his family, and Mulder's just sort of stuck in the middle.
Who is Scully, Morris? Is it another woman?
Does Scully sound like a woman's name to you?
I mean, not really. Anyways, Joanne somehow comes to the conclusion that Mulder won't make love to her because he has erectile dysfunction, which is kind of hilarious.
Hi, my name is Dana Scully. I'm looking for Morris Fletcher.
You son of a bitch.
The smile on his face when he sees her always cracks me up. Mulder does his best to convince Scully that it's him, but considering how he looks, I don't exactly blame her for not believing. But I don't know how Morris would know Scully's brother Bill absolutely hates Mulder. That's way too specific. Mulder promises Scully he'll get her scientific proof of his unfortunate body swap. In the meantime, however, it seems Morris is being a little sneak. Morris calls up Lovecraft to inform him someone's been leaking information. He also gives Lovecraft the name of the man, which is Morris. He's literally giving himself up. I guess he would, considering his new life seems more exciting than his old one. Mulder goes snooping around for the black box, which will somehow prove what's going on, but of course Lovecraft is watching him. So is this guy basically the spender of the Men in Black? Kirsch calls Scully to reprimand her for her little excursion, but does he not find it weird that Mulder reported her? Since when would Mulder turn on Scully? Mulder pulls up to another gas station, but let's just hope this one isn't hit with a shockwave. Mulder's quickly apprehended by the military, and finally, I think Scully is starting to realize that maybe he's been telling the truth this whole time, though it's a little too late at this point.
Scully, he's not me! He's not me! Scully, he's not!
Dreamland is another really fun episode, but I'm wondering, is this the only two-parter in the show's history that isn't part of the mythology arc? I can't think of any offhand, and I'm too lazy to look it up. Again, this is a hard one to talk about because it often just comes down to bringing up individual moments rather than the episode as a whole. Body swapping is a classic premise that I think works well in the X-Files universe, though I do get frustrated with how long it takes Scully to realize that something isn't quite right. Just one episode ago, Mulder told her he loved her, and now he's playing grab ass and sleeping around? That doesn't quite feel like Mulder. Now she does notice Mulder acting strange, but when someone else is telling you that's not Mulder, I'm Mulder, and then goes on to list all the reasons why they're Mulder, I think maybe you should start paying attention. I do enjoy seeing both Mulder and Morris trying to navigate the other person's life. They honestly do a much better job of it than I would. I wouldn't know where to go or what to say, and likely would get locked up in an insane asylum long before I got my body back. While Mulder struggles with a family and marriage that Morris clearly destroyed, Morris gets to just live it up, doing whatever he wants or whoever he wants, and he bears no consequences for his actions. When Season 6 of The X-Files rolled around, Chris Carter gave the writing staff a very clear directive. He wanted more comedy in the new year. Season 5 had leaned heavily into mythology and intensity, but Carter felt the series could use a lighter touch. Vince Gilligan, Frank Spondance, and John Sheban took that challenge head on. Toward the end of Season 5, the trio began developing what would become the two-part Dreamland storyline. From the very beginning, they imagined David Duchovny's real-life friend Gary Shandling in the central Man in Black role. Gilligan recalled setting up his newly purchased house with a laptop and a second monitor so that the three of them could huddle together and hammer out the script. By midsummer 1998, filming was set to begin, but Shandling was unavailable. He was in the middle of shooting Warren Beatty's Town and Country, a production infamous for its ballooning costs and eventual box office flop. The X-Files team still wanted a big name to carry the role, so they went through, as casting director Rick Milliken put it, lists and lists of actors. Eventually, they landed on Michael McKean, who had been at the top of their wish list from the start. McKean was enthusiastic, though he had one request for the writers: don't kill me off. McKean wasn't just a random choice. He had a long comedic pedigree and an interesting connection to David. He'd been a cast member on SNL during the 94-95 season, and his final episode in May 1995 just happened to be Duchovny's very first hosting gig. Backstage, McKean mentioned he'd love to guest on The X-Files someday. It took 3 years, but the opportunity finally came around. McKean also apparently played a cigarette-smoking man type character in a sketch, but I cannot find it anywhere, so take it with a grain of salt. Dreamland also pulled in another SNL alum, Nora Dunn, who played Joanne Fletcher. I'll be honest, I didn't even know she was an SNL cast member until digging into this episode. But then again, I've never really been big on SNL. Even during the supposed golden years, I always thought it was hit or miss at best. Another surprising face pops up at the gas station. The gas station attendant that Mulder doesn't want to piss off. That's because he's played by Ted White, veteran stuntman, and the man who donned the hockey mask as Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. He might be the best Jason and arguably the best film in the series. Behind the camera, things were a little sketchy. To create the adult video footage Mulder watches in Fletcher's living room, producer Paul Rabwin actually called up a contact in the porn industry and arranged for some not-so-risque outtakes to be filmed. I think the bigger mystery here isn't how they got the footage, it's why Rabwin had a producer friend in that line of work to begin with. One of the episode's most memorable moments is the mirror gag. Mulder trapped in Fletcher's body, confronting his own reflection. The scene is a direct homage to the Marx Brothers' 1933 classic Duck Soup, and later echoed in I Love Lucy. To prepare, Duchovny and McKee not only studied Duck Soup, but also rehearsed daily with a choreographer for a week and a half. There wasn't actually a mirror on set. Instead, 2 identical bedroom sets were built facing one another. To stay perfectly synchronized, the actors performed to an electronic metronome that ticked away just off camera. The final shot is an unbroken single take from beginning to end. Kim Manners later admitted the duo nailed it on the 12th attempt. He also pointed out 2 mistakes, though he only revealed one. When the characters shake their butts, McKean tugs slightly at the wrong side of his underwear compared to Duchovny. The second mistake Manners claimed was his secret.
Morris, what are you doing? It's for you.
Dreamland currently sits at 8.9 on IMDb. I really enjoy this one and am stuck somewhere between an 8 and a 9. Up next, we have the conclusion of the 2-parter as Mulder does all he can to return back to his real body in Dreamland Part 2. So what do you think about Dreamland? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, that's all for today. I hope the week is treating you well and stay spooky.
Agent Mulder finally gets inside Area 51.
I switched bodies with this man, Morris Fletcher, the man that you think is Mulder, but he's not.
Trouble is,
Who is Scully, Morris? Is it another woman?
he can't get out.
Yes? My name is Dana Scully.
Morris!
The X-Files, Sunday at 9, 8 Central on Fox.